Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tales from the Inside. Please welcome your host for tonight's show, Angela Sawyer.
Yay! Hello, everyone. It's very nice to see you guys. Thank you very much for being here. This is Tales from the Inside. It's a storytelling show that we've been doing for 13 or 14 weeks. And I'm super glad. I'm very, very excited to have my guests on for the night. Boston Comedy has an amazing, deep community of great people who I love putting in front of everybody, and I'm psyched to have these guys here to tell you about things that are going on in their brains. And if you haven't been to the show before, it used to happen in my living room once a month. And it's a show for people to kind of reveal what they're really like a little more than it is for people to be like, but ching. Basically, I only invite people who I actually really like them and who I just want to hear like what's inside their skull and let it out. And I'm pretty excited about the people who I've got here tonight. And so I've given everybody their own theme and they get to take it however they want to take it. But nobody has, most of these stories haven't been told before. People are kind of figuring out what they're saying while they're thinking. And that is part of what I like, because I think a lot of us do comedy and you get to practice sort of when you're going to make your gestures or how high you're going to raise your voice or whatever. But you never practice just sort of like being yourself in front of people. And I think that comedians are great people, even when they're terrible people. They're really great people. And I want to kind of get the unvarnished version of them. So that's what the show is for. And as I said, we've been doing this for, I don't totally have track of how many. We've been doing it the whole quarantine. And that means that I have now said every traumatic thing that has ever happened to me into a video camera. So at this point, most of my stories are like, one time I drank a Pepsi, and that's as good as they get because I've already mined every weird thing that ever happened. So even though I have lived many, many years, the stories that I'm telling are getting like weirder and stranger. And I'm going to go first and just to warm things up so that everybody's like, oh, if that's what she's doing, I'll be fine. And it's true. So what I'm going to do today is less like a story and more like a series of snapshots so you can see the difference between points in my real actual life that I lived with my own self. Let's see, how can I make sense of this? If you haven't met me before, my name's Angela and I'm originally from Denver and I grew up there, and that is not a fate that I would wish on a lot of people. Denver's a relatively nice place now if you're a pot dealer, but in the 70s and 80s, it was basically like living inside a bad sitcom. I did not enjoy it there. Other people probably did, but I didn't get along well with anybody. And so when I was about 13 or 14 years old, I was living with my dad and my stepmother. And one day, my stepmother dragged me along, as parents often do with their kids, to an errand that she was going to run. And she took me to a nail salon, which is a thing people do all the time. And if you're a parent and you have kids, I think one of the main things that you try to do with most of your time is get the fuck away from your kids. That's just a normal reaction to having kids around. A lot of parents are feeling that these days. And so my stepmother took me to this nail salon and then basically just dumped me there for like 5 hours and disappeared. And so part of this is the story of that. We went to basically like to a large parking lot with a trailer in it, like one of those trailers that they have at construction sites. You're a pot dealer, but in the 70s and 80s, I'm hearing my own voice from seconds ago. Who knows what that was? Don't worry. Anyway, we went to this weird construction site, and there was a trailer just in the middle of the parking lot, and my stepmother went into it. And when we went in, there was a tiny room, just like very small, just enough room for a couple chairs and a lot of very long 70s style magenta carpeting, like all over the walls and the ceiling, and and one door. And she went through that door. She like sat me down in one of the chairs and went through that door, and then I didn't see her again for 4 or 5 hours. And I think you guys were 13 or 14 years old once, so you know that within seconds I was bored blind. I like couldn't even, like my eyes began to cross and I couldn't think straight after just like 10 seconds because there was nothing happening there. So I was a very weird kid and scared of my parents, which I think you can still see that in me. So it's very real. So I was too afraid to like leave. I think as an adult, I would have just been like, I think I'll go outside or do so, or come up with something for myself to do. But you know, when my parents told the kid that I was, when my parents was like, sit in this chair, that meant literally like Paul Newman in the movies, I can't move out of the chair until I'm told I can move again. So I sat there and I started, there was nothing to focus on. So I started, there's a radio playing. I started paying attention to the radio, and the station that was on was this station that I had never heard before that was called KOSI, which was pronounced cozy. It is maybe is one of the whitest things I've ever run into, and you can see that I've run into a few. It was a station specifically meant for like middle-aged housewives to feel better about themselves. And so it mostly played very nice, very unprovocative songs from the 40s and the 50s. And so I sat there and I was listening to it because there was nothing else for me to pay attention to. And this song came on the radio, and basically I had a panic attack. I want to play you the song that I heard. Let's see if I can figure out how to do it. I think it's here. I think we'll see seconds of a Facebook page before I get to the thing that I want. This is the thing that I want. I want to play this song. This song came on, and I thought it was the creepiest thing I'd ever heard in my life. Starts out pretty tame, but as soon as I started to hear it, it's a beautiful song. It's actually really well put together. But as soon as I heard the song, the like ethereal vibe of it made me think to myself, what if I stay in this nail salon forever? And then I was terrified. So the Flamingos put the song out in 1959. They are a group who started out in Chicago. They were all members of a Hebrew Israelite church together. A couple of guys were. And they got signed to, at that time in the mid 50s, the usual thing that happened was that you would be in a group with you and all your friends, and like 6 other of your friends might be in the group if somebody couldn't be there that day. And then you and your friends would sign to a label that was run by 2 Jewish guys who gambled. That was just the rule. That was how things went. So these guys got signed to Chess Records. And this guy who you can see on your screen all the way to one side, Terry Johnson with the guitar, he's the guy who arranged this song. He was like, man, we got to get a song on the air that is like, he wanted to make something like that, that Justin Timberlake song, Suit and Tie, something that was like ultra sophisticated for no good reason. And so he laid down on his bed in the middle of the day with his guitar on his chest and went to sleep to try and come up with a good arrangement. And then he had a dream, and this was the arrangement that he made. And it's beautiful. It's super ethereal. But when I heard it, I was horrified because it made me, it's kind of like it's a song that makes you pay attention and brings you very much into the present moment. And that was a moment that I didn't like, and I felt super trapped. So I was completely freaked out. And after my experience of listening to the song in a little nail salon with too much carpet, I couldn't hear it again for like 4 or 5 years. If I came on like in a restaurant or a supermarket, I would leave. I was super creeped out by it. I thought it was the creepiest thing that had ever been made, which was obviously just a reflection of me, less of the song. The song's incredible. It was originally written by this guy, Harry Warren, in the 30s, and it's been covered by lots of people, but this arrangement is the one to beat for sure. So as I got a little bit older, I eventually figured out how to get away from the situation that I was in. I think when you're a kid, you're always super, you don't have a lot of control. But eventually, I moved out of my parents' house like a real person does. And I went and I put myself through school, got a job, all those kinds of good things. And so about 6, 7 years later, in real life, the first song was put out in 1959. The song that we're hearing now was recorded in 64. And the difference in style is incredible. But Albert Ayler, the guy who made what we're hearing now, he also started playing at a local church and just did pickup bands with whoever was around, whoever was friends. He was originally from Cleveland, and just like the Flamingos, after he had a couple local dates, he went to New York and ended up on a label run by some Jewish guy in a suit. Albert Ayler, however, he was a guy who dressed like he was very famous for having a goatee with a big gray stripe of hair through it and wearing like super loud suits everywhere he went. He managed to get himself invited to go on recording sessions in Stockholm and go back and forth to Europe and just do recordings. And his stuff's super wild. By the time I first heard it, I was working at the first record store I'd ever worked in. I was about 21, and I was really interested in just trying to like take all the fences down that were inside my brain and like find out what was really out there, really just like figure out all the things that could be. And when I heard this record, it really just like peeled the top of my head off. And I realized that I basically had the opposite experience listening to this record that I had had listening to the Flamingos. And it made me realize that the experience was mine more than it was the music's, and I had to go back and like reassess them and figure it out. And that is part of what started me down the journey of paying attention to records, which I love. Albert Ayler, if you've never heard him, he is a free jazz saxophonist, and he's known for having just like this tone that you could shred a phone book with, which is something that he got because he started playing in church and started playing in like R&B bands and like Walk the Bar, sort of like super bawdy, fuck up the bar tonight kind of bands. And he's amazing. But both he and the Flamingos basically made what they made because they were interested in church services, which I think is cool. So that's my weird story for today. And thank you. Mostly it's just snapshots of two different times, but I think, could you guys not hear all of that? Great. Well, it's okay. You can look them up. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Basically, what you want to know is that the Flamingos are like, woo, and then Albert Ayler is like, and that's really that's the truth. That's the basic truth there. So you didn't miss a thing. I'm very excited for the performers that we have on this evening. They're amazing. I'm super psyched. And our first, she is fantastic. I see her a lot at a show called Pick a Side Stupid, which happens on Fridays, which used to be out of a bar in Quincy, and now it's just on the internet like everything else, but she hosted it recently, and she's fantastic. You're gonna love her. Please welcome Rachel Dunbar.
Hi. So my theme was a time that your childhood dreams came true. I know, R.I.P. Maggie's Lounge, so sad. Great bar pizza. So I had one very quick story and one a little bit longer. So my first one is when I was in kindergarten, we had this assignment where we had to write about something we wanted to do or be when we grew up. And all the kids were like, when I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. When I grow up, I want to be a cowboy. And I said, when I grow up, I want to take a shower. And you know what? I did. I do it every day. So mission accomplished. You know, who says kids don't? Thank you, Big D. Who says kids don't achieve their dreams? You know, it might have sounded silly, but it's not like any of those other kids like got to be like the astronauts or the cowboys they wanted to be. You know, and every day I get to do what I wanted to do. So there you go. I also I remember when I first watched the movie Edward Scissorhands. I wanted to be like the mom. She was an Avon lady, and I thought that was so cool. And we had an Avon lady in our neighborhood who would come knock on the door and ask my mom if she wanted makeup, and my mom would say no. And I was like, this is so cool. And so I recently, a couple of years ago, I was at my friend's house, and she was having like a party that was it was a company similar to Avon, where we had a lady come in and show us how to do skincare stuff and everything. And after she left, my friend said, well, I'm in this business too. And, you know, I think it'd be great. She said, you know, it'd be a great way for you to make some money on the side. And she said, and they're holding this convention in Kentucky where you can learn more about it. Would you like to come with me? And I was like, sure. And she was like, we're driving there. And I was like, sure. So I decided I don't know anything else about this company other than the fact that there was a lady that came and showed me how to put stuff on my face. And so my friend and I, we decided to drive down to Kentucky, to Louisville, Kentucky, from Boston. And the drive, it was really long. And it was also tough because I thought it was going to be like this fun, like road trip thing, like where we would make, you know, stop somewhere and like do some sightseeing, but we didn't do that. And I thought we could make like a cool playlist to listen to. But my friend, she had Spotify, but she didn't have the premium version. She had the regular version. So we didn't even get to listen to all the songs. And she really likes gospel music. And I really don't. And so, like the whole time we were just listening to the same gospel song like over and over and over again. And I fell asleep at one point, and I woke up and I was listening to the same gospel song. She was this lady on the radio. She was like, Jesus is in the balcony. He's over here. He's over there. And I woke up and, you know, Jesus was still on the balcony. And so we finally, and it was just a very long drive. And, you know, I said something that I never thought I would say before in my life, which is I can't wait till we get to Kentucky. So we finally get to Kentucky, and the convention is taking place in this giant like arena, like this giant stadium. And so we're there, and it's packed. There's like thousands of people there. And my friend is telling me about this company. She's like, just so you know, it's not just makeup. It's all sorts of other stuff. It's, you know, it's like cleaning products and, you know, and supplements and things like that. And so I'm like, okay. And then so the ceremony starts, and they're talking about these people called diamonds. And then they're also talking about people called emeralds and rubies. And I turned to the guy sitting next to me. I'm like, what are diamonds and emeralds and rubies? He's like, okay, here's how it works. He's like, you recruit like 10 people, all right? So you're on level 1. Then you get the other ones. Yes, Big D, let me get to it. Then you get those people to recruit more people, and then you get to level 2, and then so on and so on, and then you become a ruby, and then they recruit more people, you become an emerald, and then finally you become a diamond. And I was sitting there going, oh shit. It's like I got stuck into a multi-level marketing scheme. And I turn into my friend, and she's just beaming because she wants to be a diamond really bad. And find out, so the diamonds are these people. They're people who are like rich to begin with, of course, and so they're like super successful. And so I find out that the company that we came down here to check out is Amway, which is a pretty big multi-level marketing company. It's mostly in the South. My grandparents got into it. And so anyway, for those of you who don't know, Amway is their values are very like Judeo-Christian, conservative, like American nationalist. And so to begin the ceremony, we do this prayer. We're like, dear God, please watch over the diamonds. As they conduct their business or whatever. Jesus Christ. And through the whole throughout the whole time that we're there at this convention, we have people that it's not even networking, it's just people coming out on stage and doing all this like motivational speaker jargon. Like, you see with your mind, you perceive with your heart, and the only person getting in your way is you. And my friend is sitting next to me, and she's writing this all down, and she's eating it. She's like, I can take these nuts for you, so you can have them later. It's like, oh yes, I will want those. And so I'm sitting here like I don't know what the hell I got into. Also, when we got there, like the hotel room that they have for the people who are involved with this, it was like I had to share a hotel room with 4 other people, and I was like, I shared a bed with my friend, and then there were 2 other girls in the other bed, and there were like 2 girls that slept on the floor. Like, it was like crazy. And then the next day, my team meets up at this restaurant, and all the new recruits, which I guess includes me, have to get up in front of everyone and tell them who we are, why we want to be a part of Amway, what's something that we're going to take away from this weekend. And so I get up there, and I have to tell them why I want to be a part of this brand, which I don't want to be. But I'm like, I'm Rachel. There's other people there that are like, I was very depressed, I tried to kill myself, and then I found Amway, and I was like, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, I get up there, and I'm like, I was like, I just wanted to be the Avon lady. And I told them I want to better myself and all this other shit, and they were going like, mm-hmm. And I was like, what are we in church now? And I had to think of a quote from the whole weekend. I was like, it was hard because I tried to block everything out. And I was just like, I learned that you see with your eyes and you perceive with your heart. And they were like, mm-hmm. And then, so we leave, and my friend's, we drive back from Kentucky, and my friend's car is like a piece of shit. And so it breaks down when we are about 3 hours away from Massachusetts. And we actually had this guy tried to help us out. He called the cops come, and they say, okay, we can call a tow truck. It's going to be $60 to haul you back to the gas station where you were before. My friend throws a fit, and she starts yelling at the police, and she's like, they're just doing this to us because we're Black. And she starts taking videos, and I'm crying at this point. I'm like, I just want to go home. And she's like calling the cop an asshole and all this stuff. And I was like, Tamika, shut your mouth. And then I was like, you go get us in trouble, girl. And then so I paid the $60 because I was like, I don't want to deal with these police no more. And so we get back to the gas station, and we're trying to figure out what to do. And here's the thing. So I gassed the car up before we left the gas station. She sits there, she goes, what kind of fuel did you put in my car? And I was like, Heifer, is you serious right now? And then luckily I have a friend who lives in Munson, Massachusetts, and she actually came to get us. And her and her mom drove us back to Massachusetts, which is like it was just like this miracle, is like divine intervention almost. And so we finally get back to Massachusetts. It's like 2 a.m. and I get up and go to work the next day. I get this text message from my friend saying, I went to the, I went to the auto body shop. The mechanic checked the gas tank and said, "You put diesel fuel in my car." And I was like, that's absurd for so many, many reasons. And we had this whole in back and forth where she was trying to convince me that I put diesel fuel in her car. I told my mom that she got furious. She called the gas station in New York, and he confirmed that there's no way that could have happened. But so I don't really talk to this person anymore. But I think this was just this crazy thing that I never thought would ever happen to me, and all this to just try and be like the Avon lady, which I never ended up joining Amway. And I'm really thankful for that. My friend never ended up joining either. But because she told somebody else on her team that she didn't want to be there because of, their values and everything. And he showed this to the team leader. He's like, this is Tamika and how she's brainwashed by the liberal media or whatever. And it's just like Amway. So I found out my grandparents used to do Amway, that thought they were gonna be rich, and when they died, my parents found all this Amway junk in their basement because they never sold any of the stuff that they were gonna sell. And they also were involved in something called Princess House, which is like flatware or something.
Oh.
And they had all this crap in their basement. They thought they were going to be rich. I'm like, you two are a couple of rednecks. How do you think that was going to happen? And anyway, so now I know never to get involved in. And if anyone uses the word recruitment to talk about your business, I know never to get involved in that. So that's my story.
Rachel, thank you. That was amazing. I'm very glad that you definitely, if you get involved in, especially in women's only makeup pyramid schemes and or shampoo based pyramid schemes, you will just spend some money and then have a bunch of weird shit in your trunk. That is how that works. If you go to church and your takeaway is that you should play the craziest music you've ever thought of, good on you. And if your takeaway is that you should buy face cream, you missed it. Just don't go. It's cool.
It's funny though. It's funny though because I get people on from Facebook messaging me about their business, and I'm like, you're a sucker. They already tried to get me. You're not going to get me.
Yeah, I definitely. Occasionally some person I've met somewhere will be like, you really need to buy into this, and I'm like, no, I don't. But yeah, there's a bunch of people out there in the world who will try and turn you into a lip gloss zombie, so watch out. Thank you, that was awesome, Rachel. Really appreciate it. So our next performer, I'm very excited to have. She's fantastic. She's part of a comedy collective in Boston called Wet Cat. That used to have shows, just like all of us, and hopefully will again someday. She's very, very funny, and you're going to love her. Please welcome Emma Schmidt.
Thank you. So my prompt was a time that I gave up on something, and I was glad I did. And I gave the fuck up on school. When I was in high school, I was very good at school and I really liked it. Actually, the best job on my resume is my high school job. I was a tour guide at a historical museum. I was kind of like a prodigy, whatever. But yeah, I kind of peaked in high school academically. And then later in high school, some trauma happened. So I had PTSD. And then my grades started plummeting. But I told myself, I was like, well, everyone gets bad grades senior year. No one cares. And I thought I would just have a fresh start in high school, not in college. But that did not end up happening. When I got to college, I just I still couldn't really remember how to do school. I got there, I took an archaeology class, and when I was there, I wrote a paper that I knew the topic that we were writing a paper on, like I knew the facts. But the paper I turned in, the bibliography didn't have any like academic sources cited. I cited websites. It was just a list of websites like archaeologyforeveryone.com. Like that was what I turned in because I couldn't think clearly anymore. And then eventually like some other stuff happened, so I ended up having to drop out of college. But when I got back to Massachusetts, I lived with my aunt for a little while, and she suggested that I take night classes. So I enrolled in one at UMass Boston, but it wasn't on the campus. The class was on Newbury Street in an international high school. So I took the class. It was a sociology class. And everything was going fine. That class was actually going okay. But then the final paper that I turned in, I don't remember what it was about. It was something about like Miley Cyrus. I don't know. Something about Miley Cyrus, and I think I called her racist. It was supposed to be like about 10 pages though, and it ended up being like 2. And I knew that I knew it was bad and I knew I wasn't going to do well. But I hadn't been checking my grades prior. Even in college, like I wasn't checking my grades. I knew that they were bad, but I was like, I'm an anthro major, like grades are a social construct or whatever. Like I just kind of convinced myself that they didn't matter. But then I saw the grade on that final paper and I got an F, which I mean, that just kind of solidified everything for me. And I was like, okay, so like I actually am getting these bad grades. So I walked out of there crying, but luckily it's on Newbury Street, so H&M was still open. So I walked to H&M and I got a bunch of cute clothes. So that's why I'm happy about leaving school. No. Yeah, so that night I did decide that I was going to quit school because I felt like there was only like a certain amount that I could I couldn't keep fighting myself in the way that my brain had changed. Like I felt like sometimes, things happen to you that change you that aren't necessarily it doesn't, just because you don't want it to happen doesn't mean that it didn't happen. So I learned to just kind of have to accept that, that my brain just wasn't working the way it was. And I felt like the more that I was fighting myself on it, I started, the more I was hurting myself and I was just getting more and more depressed. So I did drop out of college. I haven't taken any college classes since 2015. And once I moved out with my parents, the past few years have been some of the best of my life. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm having fun. I don't have any debt. I have a fantastic credit score. So that's actually kind of all I wanted to share. I thought it would be longer, but yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Emma. I appreciate it. I love it. I think you're right. School isn't for everybody. And I think even I'm somebody who I loved school when I was a kid. I adored it because school was a place where if they said do this and you did this just like they said, the thing that they said would happen next happened next.
Right.
And it just followed the rules. And I was like, that's amazing and wonderful, because at the house that I grew up in, if somebody said do this and you did it, who knows what would happen afterwards? It could be anything. You could get a thing, you could get better than the thing, you could get much worse. It seemed to have no causal relationship. So I love school because they just did what they said. But even there, at some point you realize that it's not really for you. It's for some magical people out there somewhere, and it doesn't end up serving you. I definitely, I had a teacher in high school who one day decided not to teach class and instead told us how she was around in the 60s, but she didn't go to any protests because that was for other people. And after that, I was like, ugh, I don't think reading of Mice and Men with you is that great, you know? So after that, I started writing no matter what we were doing in the class, I wrote all of my papers about the Denver Broncos. I just decided that I would just write about the Denver Broncos and turn those in. And nothing happened. And I was like, oh, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It has no, like, she just looked at my face and she was like, you're this kind of student. And that was the grades that I got.
Right.
So once you kind of realize that, you have to figure out how to, you know, raise yourself out of it and kind of break yourself out of it and parent yourself away from that. And so I think you're doing the right thing. You did good.
Thank you.
Good job. Yeah.
I also do want to say, Rachel, it's very possible to put diesel in a car that doesn't use diesel. I have done it, and it almost destroyed the car. Because they say that you can't fit the nozzle in, but I was confused and I thought that there was something wrong with the nozzle, so I just kind of forced it in, and my car broke down. It is very possible.
Okay. Thanks.
It sounds possible. Also, I believe Rachel. I figure, you know, I know that she knows what she's up to, but it's easy to, I didn't learn to drive until I was 35, and definitely the first time I went to get gas, had no idea what to do and looked so dumb just standing there being like, what comes first? I think that's one of those things, like, if you've done it even once, you're like, oh, this is the simplest thing in the world.
Right.
But when you haven't, it's just like this magic ritual that you have no idea what's happening. So the world's hard, and it's okay.
Yeah. When I first gassed up a car, I took the nozzle out. And I actually had my finger on the trigger part, so I was like walking around, and the gasoline was just coming out. I was like, I was like, somebody take this away from me. It's like a loaded gun. Just take it away from me.
Well, I'm glad you didn't blow a bunch of people up. Nice. So I'm excited for our next performer. This guy, I only met him a little while ago, but he's been going to open mics around town in the past year or so. And I really like what he's up to. I see him here at the Comedy Studio here and there. And I just think he always does something that's his own, and that's pretty cool. So please put your hands together right now for Matt Shore.
Hello. How's it going? This is really fun. This is cool. I wanted to tell a story tonight. My topic was a time that you thought you were totally gonna save the world. And when I got the prompt from Angela, I was like, I don't think I've ever felt like that ever. So I was trying to think like, oh, like, you know, maybe something like when I was little, like a superhero or something. And I realized that like when you're younger, like when you're a little kid, you're not really thinking much about the world. It's really, you're all about your world that's kind of in your head. So I was trying to think of like what was something that was really important to me when I was younger, when I was like in elementary school. And it was the circus. Yeah, so not a lot of people I've met have had this experience, but when I was in elementary school, every year from kindergarten to 5th grade, there was a guy who would come to the school as part of like an artist in residence program. And he was a clown, like he was a professional clown, Ringling Brothers, Barnum and whatever, professional clown. And he would teach us like how to juggle and, you know, walk on the giant ball and trapeze and all this crazy stuff. And it was really cool. And you'd think, you know, that it would be just like the most fun thing ever. But it was also the most stressful thing in my in my entire childhood. So the guy, his name was Gary the Clown. We were not allowed to call him Gary the Clown to his face. We had to call him Gary or Mr. whatever his last name was that was very difficult for small children to pronounce. And so the whole goal was during a few weeks you would learn circus stuff, and then at the end you would put on a big circus. Like the big thing is the 5th grade puts on a circus for the entire school, and you like want to be in that circus, man. You want to have the coolest job. And so the way to get into the circus was extremely stressful, because you could get all sorts of different jobs. Like you could be doing something really cool, or you could be like passing out pamphlets and flyers when people came in. And so one of the rules was you are not allowed to ask Gary to be in the circus. You are not allowed to go up to him and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Gary, sir, can I please show you this trick that I've been working on?" That was not allowed. The only way that you would get in, and he would give you the little card that had your name on it and your job in the circus, was he would have to discover you. Like during free practice time, he would like walk around the gym, and he would have to see you doing a good job, think that you're doing a good job, and then give you the card. So I really wanted to do the pogo stick because I had a pogo stick at home. So I was like practicing my pogo stick like a crazy person, and like, you know, I was doing no hands. I eventually like learned how to juggle on the pogo stick, and I was like, I'm gonna be in. This is gonna be great. But weeks and weeks kept going by, and he still hadn't like seen me do it. So I'm of course just like kind of hopping in his direction, like trying to hop into his eyesight, because I'm not allowed to go over there. And it was like time was running out, getting more and more stressed out. And there was added stress to this, because every single year, I don't know why he did this, but every single year he would sit all the kids down and go, "Okay, guys, this might be my last year coming to your school." And, you know, so if you want to be in, you better be on your best behavior. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do something. How am I? I'm gonna totally miss out. I'm gonna be handing out the program to the parents when they come in. It's gonna be terrible. So that's like the main way to get into the circus. But there is another way to get in, which is be a bad kid. Because, and I'll explain. A lot of the bad kids, the kids with behavioral problems, habitual behavioral issues, would get really cool jobs in the circus, just like out of nowhere. And as a kid in elementary school, you're like, what? How is that happening? And, looking back, it was like, it was like a thing that they could be like, hey, like if you do what you're supposed to do, you get a really cool job, and, kind of a bribe thing for children, because that is always a great idea. Help children behave, just bribe them and make them stressed out. But so, of course, still haven't been asked. Now I'm thinking, like, should I be bad? Like, should I try and steal some chalk or something? I don't even know what to do, because I was this like super anxious, uptight, goody two shoes baby boy, just trying to pogo stick in the circus. But eventually it happened. I was on the pogo stick, just trying my best, and he came over, and I was like, hell yeah, we're doing this. So I did a little signal to my friend Ronnie. We had it all figured out. Signaled Ronnie. Ronnie went over and got me the scarves and passed me the scarves. I started juggling the scarves while I was on top of the pogo stick, like as he was coming over. And I was like, this is it. We're doing it. And I was, just killing it. Humble brag, not to brag, totally bragging, no big deal. And he stands there, watches me do it. I'm focusing real hard. I get off the pogo stick, and he goes, hey, that was a good job, but you look really nervous. And then he walked away. And I just lost my mind. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I eventually did get into the circus and, did the pogo stick, and it was the best, but not without getting, extreme anxiety. And, I was just thinking about how weird it was that I was never afraid of clowns, but clowns gave me anxiety. So, of course, what better way to explore that a little bit more than with a song that I wrote. I wrote it this week, so I'm going to pull up the lyrics. This is how I'm making myself feel better, because I never do the storytelling thing. So now I'm now I can do my act and I'll be safe. But yeah, so this song is called Anxiety Inducing Clowns. Hope you enjoy. Okay. I wasn't scared of clowns, that was all I wanted to be. But at the end of 5th grade, all I got was anxiety. Forget studying and building up my knowledge. I was gonna pogo stick my way right to clown college. Honk honk diploma. Yeah, I did what I was told to get picked in the circus. All this waiting around made me go berserkus. That's definitely a word. Oh, should I be bad? I could steal some paper clips, or should I keep on pogo stick until the clown notices? I don't really know anymore. But it's anxiety-inducing clown. I didn't need trapeze to feel upside down. Anxiety-inducing clown. Can't make any mistakes unless he turns around, and then my life would be over. All right, this is the fast part. I gotta hype myself up for this part. Okay. Cause I wasn't afraid of the Joker, I wasn't afraid of the clown from It. I was only afraid of falling off my godbone hobo stick. Yeah. Oh, in front of Gary the Clown, you know I'm gonna stay down. Don't bother with a band-aid, not gonna make it to the end of 5th grade. Oh, cause I'm a failure, laying on the ground, looking like a goddamn clown, but not a good one. Anxiety-inducing clown. It's his final year, so start the countdown. Anxiety-inducing clown. The anxiety started to follow me around and continue for another 15 years, and I still have it, and I probably will never get rid of it. Thank you, Gary the Clown. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was fantastic. I appreciate that you chose White Soul as the genre for a clown song. That seems very appropriate. Adults know how to ruin children's lives. That's what they're best at. They definitely know how to do it. When I was in elementary school, Denver is where I grew up. We went to the rodeo every year. That was a big event. We didn't go to aquariums or museums or whatever. We went to the rodeo every year, and every kid wanted to go to the rodeo because they wanted to pet baby animals. That was like the big attraction. You could go and pet little animals at the rodeo. The thing that they don't tell you about the rodeo is that it is a stadium, like an indoor stadium, which has just been like misted in every seat and every hallway with horse shit. It's just like it's just a pool, like a living, like you've seen those graphs of coronavirus sneeze droplets. Just imagine that as horse poop, like throughout an entire stadium where children are walking. And everybody's big thing was that if you went to the rodeo, there were like little stalls that you could buy crap from, like keychains and stuff like that. And all the girls would buy little like clips, like the clip you would hold the end of a joint in with a feather on the other end, and put it in their hair. It was very important. You would like tuck it in, put a weird feather in, and then you were supposed to be super sexy if you had that. So imagine a bunch of like 8-year-old children. All the girls have weird shit stuck in their hair, and they're just like breathing horse poop, yelling, trying to pet baby animals. That's the rodeo, and that's why you should not send your child to school, probably.
Wow.
So I'm very glad you told that story. Thank you. I appreciate it. So your next performer, I'm very glad to have him. He's fantastic. He is one of the funniest people who used to come to the mic that I ran in a bar once upon a time, that who knows if that will ever happen again. He runs a great podcast called In the Gutter. He's very, very funny, and he's just fucking charming as shit. So please welcome the one and only Big D.
Yes. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Angela, before I start, I just want to, because the song that you was talking about by the Flamingos is fucking fire. It's dope. And if you haven't heard the song, I know that a lot of people couldn't hear it, but it starts off.
I'm an idiot. I thought it would be audible.
Oh my God. You know how many times I've heard this song, Angela?
Thousands. It's a great song.
Because it's replayed in hip hop and everything else. So that's why I love this song. But this story takes place in the year 99/2000. And this happened back in North Carolina. And my theme for the night, my prompt for the night is a time opposite of now. So opposite of now I'm a comedian. Now I do podcasts and stuff like that. But at a time in my life, believe it or not, I was a rapper. Yeah. I was a rapper, and my rap name was D Gutter. That was my rap name. It's the year 1999. We're in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's the summertime, and it's incredible. It's incredible. Fortunate by Maxwell was #1. I don't know if you guys remember. Fortunate to have you here. That was like my favorite song. I always had to listen to that because my mom would play it as she's cleaning the house and stuff. But in 1999, I was 16 years old. I don't want to give away my age, but I was 16. And young Big D, aka D Gutter at the time, was very into his rap music. And I'm still into rap music, but Angela will tell you this. I like to listen to jazz. I like to listen to a bunch of other eclectic things. So this story takes place starting off in, I want to say high school, but I dropped out. It doesn't matter. It starts off in high school, and there's a big rap competition at a club, right? So I'm talking to my boys about it. They're like, yo, dog, you gonna go to this competition tonight? We gonna catch some wreck? I'm like, yeah, I'm about to get busy. So I've been working on my bars all week. I'm ready. The nighttime comes. We lined up. Now in Greensboro, they got this, it's a long ass street, High Point Road. They call it something, the Coliseum Boulevard now. But this was in the west side. This was the actual club was in the south side. And I'm a west side guy. So we ended up going to the south side to this club. And we get to the club. I'm deep. I'm with my boys, my compadres, my mans in them, my people I grew up with. My boys, and we're having a great time. We get to the club. Now, you're thinking probably at 16, you shouldn't be allowed in the club. And you're absolutely right. We shouldn't. But in North Carolina, they had this thing called teenage clubs. I don't know why, but it was teenage clubs. 18 and up, you can go into the club and party. If you were 24, 25, you meet an 18-year-old girl or a 16, 17, you might get in trouble. So it was safe for me, though, because we were young. So I go to this club. I'm hyped. My boys is hyping me up. Now I spit, my boy spits, and we're ready. So the DJ comes on, and I don't know if you know how DJs are. This guy that was in the club or whatever, he was like a radio DJ from the club. I mean, from the radio. I think it was 102 Jams. And I can't even remember the DJ's name, but he's like hyping it up. He's dropping bombs. He's like, all right, everybody. If you're ready for the rap competition, we're ready to get started. Let's go. And I'm all hyped. I'm hyped, right? And I'm ready to go up. So the first battlers go up against each other, right? It's these two guys, they go up. I'm like, oh, I'll watch these dudes. It's nothing. It's nothing for me because I got bars. So I go up, the second round comes, not the second round, but the next joint comes or whatever, and I'm paired up with this female. So I'm looking at her as the misogynist I am, and I'm like, she ain't got shit on me. Not realizing what misogyny really meant. And I didn't hate her or anything like that. I just knew that as a man, I was like, yo, I got bars. She can't be Little Kim and I'm Biggie. I'm about to torch her on like when I spit these raps. So we go up on stage and, you know, this is what happens to misogynists, especially young misogynists or people that just are stupid and just not bright. Women run the world and women can do things that men really, we think we can do things, but we can't always do things better than, you know, women. I'm just going to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So we go on stage. The DJ's hype. The DJ drops another bomb. He's like, all right, everybody. All right. We got Lady Spice over here. Are you ready? And we got D Gut over here. Are you ready? We flip a coin. We see who goes first. Lady Spice wins the coin toss. And then she goes, I'm going to let that fat dude go first. So then I'm pissed. Right? I'm pissed, but I'm kind of quick-witted, so I'm like, oh, I can spit some bars. So I start spitting my little verse. I'm like, pop, 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 pop. And then she's like, oh, the crowd's like going hype. My boys in the crowd, they're like, oh, shit.
Wow.
And I'm feeling the heat. I'm feeling really confident. I'm feeling really good. And everybody has me feeling like my boys is hyping me up. After I get done spitting, there's applause. Right? But then this is what happens. Lady Spice goes up to spit her bars, and she spits some shit I've never heard before in my life. She's and she's killing it. And then she said this line that messed me up. Not only did that line mess me up, but my boys are in there and they're listening to it, but they're assholes. So what do? They start encouraging Lady Spice and acting like I'm not even with them. So she spits her bars and then she said, and I can't even remember what the actual line was, but I remember this. All I remember is, you fat, you probably stand up to wipe your ass when you take a shit. Look at you, fat nigga. You got a baby dick. And the sadness that consumed me hurt my heart as a rapper. I was no longer D Gutter anymore. I was just a shitty fat kid with the baby dick. And to add insult to injury, what really hurt my heart and what really messed me up is my boys was in the crowd. And as the crowd is going crazy, they go nuts. As soon as she says this line, they go absolutely fucking bonkers, right? And the whole crowd's like, oh shit, baby dick. Then my man just comes out of nowhere and goes, get off the stage, baby dick. My heart sank into my chest because as soon as he said that, everybody started chanting, get off the stage, baby dick, get off the stage, baby dick, get off the stage. And I lost it. After that, the DJ drops another bomb, I believe. I think he did. Yeah, he dropped another bomb. And as soon as he does, he goes, all right, ladies and gentlemen, all right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, can we get a round of applause for D Gutter? Nobody clapped. Can we give a round of applause for Lady Spice? And then everybody's like, ah! And then my boy, so she obviously won the battle. I get off the stage. I look at my boy. I say, yo, what the fuck was that shit? Why would you do that to me? Like, that was wrong. Like, why would you do that? He said, I'm not going to front. You was killing her. But that baby dick line fucked the game up. And that was it. So I just want to give a fair warning to you guys out there that do rap, especially in this climate. Never underestimate your opponent. Male, woman, any color, doesn't matter. And the true Aesop fable, the true what do you call it, jewel or whatever I would say, is that women can do anything that a man can do, but also better. Shit, I've never learned how to suck a dick, so that's just what it is. But that's my story. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Give it up for Big D.
Yes.
That was amazing. I appreciate it very much. Nobody has ever told me what the size of my dick is. That's a privilege that I get to carry around everywhere I go. Thank you. That was an amazing story. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So I've got one final performer for you. I'm very excited. She's one of the best comedians in New England. Just straight up, full stop. Super, super funny. Can do any room, anywhere. I love her to death. And look her up online, find her whenever we finally start going outside again. She'll be somebody that you want to see. So please welcome the wonderful Kendra Landsberg.
Hey. I can do any room but this room, my bedroom. No, just like Big D, I have never learned how to suck dick. Okay. D gutter? Was that what it was?
That's what it was.
And now you're a gutter boy, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. It's funny how life just, Yeah,
full circle. Wow. Are you on SoundCloud? Can I find you? Never mind. I'll talk.
Still with a baby dick.
Okay. The prompt that Angela gave me. I was at my parents' for this. I've been at doesn't matter. I was at my parents when she texted me that my thing is a time the ceiling totally fell down on me. Right? Am I saying that correctly? Doesn't matter. Yeah, a time the ceiling fell down, and I was like home for a funeral, good old death during COVID, and just like thinking about it when I got back today, I was like, oh, I was at my parents in upstate New York, and literally the ceiling falls down on you every time you're there. Let me explain. So yeah, my parents live in upstate. My parents have lived on the property that they own my entire life. So when we first moved there, we lived in a trailer. I'm originally a trailer girl, born a trailer girl, will probably die a trailer girl. So lived in a trailer. And then when I was a year old, my parents decided they were going to build a house. We were going to build a house. And by we, I mean my dad and his friends. So, he could have built any house. Think you're building a house, you have the plans and everything in your own hands. So what my father and his friends did is they built a house and drank heavily while doing so. When we were growing up, my mom would say that before the house was completely finished, and the walls were completely finished, they would find empty beer cans in between the walls. So, yeah, I'm white trash. But okay, so this house is going up. We finally built it, and I drew a little picture to describe the ceiling. So yeah, my parents gave me a roof over my head, and I'm very thankful for that. But they literally built a ceiling that was on top of our head. My dad and his friends built a 2-story home, but the second story is probably 6'2" at its highest. And I drew a little picture while Big D was talking. So this is the first floor, and then this is the second floor. And when I'm at the almost highest part, I can't stand. I'm 5'7" and I can't stand completely straight up. And then over here, this is half of the upstairs. That's big enough for a mouse, which there are a lot of mice up there because we live in the woods. So that was the house I grew up with. And you know, my parents still live in. So my parents have, let's say, they probably moved in that house in like 1989. So my mom has resented my dad since 1989 for building her house. She hates. So like, because it's like such low ceilings, there's only a few windows up there. There's like 2 bedrooms and just the hallway that you can hardly walk in. It's like super dark and creepy upstairs. So my whole childhood, none of us ever went upstairs. Like my mom would put things up there, and like no one ever slept in the 2 bedrooms that were up there. It was like this creepy place. So I'm one of 6 children. So we all just slept downstairs. There's like 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a kitchen downstairs. And there's like a queen size bed in the kids' room. And like 4 of us would sleep in that bed together, which like my older brother was a bedwetter, so it was always like mysterious on figuring out who wet the bed when there was 4 of us kids in one queen size bed. It was usually him, but one time he peed like on me and blamed it on me. That's a different story. Okay, but we hated that the ceiling was so low and it was so creepy. So yeah, we always slept downstairs. We did everything downstairs. And then my older 2 siblings got a little older and like wanted some privacy and got a little courage. So they finally started using the bedrooms upstairs while the other 4 of us like continued to stay downstairs. And like the ceiling's so low that like everything we did upstairs, we did on our knees. That sounds like big D story, but like no, we did everything on our knees. Like if we have everything we played, we like had to do on our knees because you would just like hit your head outside of the bedroom. And then like as we got older and friends started coming over, like I didn't really get friends until my like junior year of high school. And I finally, like, I think it was my junior year of high school that I finally moved into one of those bedrooms upstairs when my older sister moved out. And like I guess I was one of the poorer kids in town, and a lot of kids in my town lived in like 2 big housing developments. You know what I mean? I don't mean like the projects. I mean like all the houses kind of look the same, you know, so they all have like these nicer small townhouses. So like everyone that would come over would always be like, "What's wrong with your house?" Except if they're poor. Like poor kids don't question other people's houses because they're like, "Oh, we get it. Like, yeah, your dad built a glamorous shed. Like, we get it." So, I don't know. Like the friends would always question, like, "Why is the ceiling so low? Oh my God, we can hardly walk up here." And I feel like my dad secretly built the ceilings that low so like his daughters could never date. He just knew, he's like, my daughters aren't dating any short men, they're gonna fuck any of those short motherfuckers, so let's build the ceilings real low. Joke's on him, my first like real 2 boyfriends were like 5'7", 5'8", so they could fit in the upstairs. Now that I've like moved out and never don't visit very often, I found myself like a 6'2" boyfriend. But the thing with the thing with the upstairs is like our animals are obsessed with our upstairs because they can go and hide. Like our one cat we never see, we see maybe like once a week because she just like hides in the darkness of the upstairs, like in the shadows of the low ceiling. And like that's the place to have your kittens because of course my family's trash and doesn't get their animals fixed. So like the animals would always like go upstairs to have their babies in the complete privacy of the low ceiling. The story was really dumb. And I was like, this is gonna be so funny. And then I'm like, oh my God, I haven't talked to humans in forever. This show's ending with a bang. Guys, do I even have anything else to talk about my stupid? Nope, I talked about my brother peeing on me in the bedroom downstairs and blaming on me, my dad and his drunk friends drinking and building a house. All right, dude, we should all quit comedy. How am I going to do comedy again? I can't even tell. Well, I can't tell stories. My boyfriend says I'm incapable of telling stories.
You just told me so much. That was fantastic.
So,
That was
I
dope.
loved it.
I
thanks.
do have a lot of questions though.
Ask some questions.
Like, what rooms were upstairs? Like, what rooms did you have specifically upstairs?
Just 2 bedrooms.
Uh-huh.
a little bathroom, and then like much of it is a hallway that's just so slanted that my mom just keeps all our clothes. Like my mom just has those big like plastic boxes, you know, that you can get from like Walmart, Target, and she just like she'll like tape a piece of paper and it'll be like all our winter clothes. It'll be labeled that, the Christmas decorations. Because since there's like 6 kids and her and my dad, there were like so many clothes we had to rotate out, I guess. So it'd just be like, it was like boxes and boxes and more boxes, and then 2 bedrooms and a little bathroom. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like that's, I don't know. I'm not sure where we put anything in the houses that I grew up in, but I remember when the house that I grew up in when I was in elementary school, we lived in one of those developments where all the houses were cookie cutter. They were all the same. And so like if you went to somebody else's house, you knew where things were already. Like you knew where the bathroom was and where they kept his stuff,
Oh yeah.
because it was just like your house basically, except you know, like the curtains were a different color basically. But my parents, my mom specifically, was an over decorator. You can see by the background that I inherited that from her. She, I think, didn't like, I don't know if it was because she didn't like it, but she definitely rebelled against that and wanted a house that was like different from everyone else's. So she insisted that every room in our house be a color. So like the carpet, so like the TV room, the carpet was chocolate and very 70s, that long shag. The walls were painted chocolate brown, which is not a good, it just looks like somebody shit on your wall. The couch was chocolate brown, like all the furniture and all the carpet and the drapes and everything in each room matched exactly. And she would like find, you know, how like, you know, she'd find some wooden duck decorative thing that was like the right color and then just put it in that room. So where I grew up, the TV room was chocolate. The dining room that you only went in on holidays was gold. The kitchen was the only room that didn't have a color. It was just a kitchen. And then the bedrooms, my bedroom was like cotton candy pink and avocado green. It was like a checkerboard, very loud. There was a guest room that was blue, like the color of your water thing that you've got, Kendra, and like that blue everywhere. And then my parents' room was a color that I can only describe as whore red, just like a period from the gods that happened in that room, just terrifying. So I can't identify having people come over to your house and just be like, what is going on here?
Why does the front of your house look like a back of a house?
Yeah. Stuff like that.
Yeah. It will, some of you are probably like, so was it an attic? But it wasn't an attic. There is real stairs up there.
My shit is just the same, Kendra, so don't feel bad. If I stand up right now, I'm gonna touch the ceiling.
Oh yeah. Where are you?
On the top of the house.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I'll you can't even see it, but I'm touching.
Yeah. The ceiling's falling in on you.
Yeah, it's bad.
Life just bumped my head on that ceiling. Not really. I never went upstairs till I was like 8 years old. Fucking dark, no windows, most of that.
That's
nice work. Guys, we did it. That's our show. We made
it.
Nice work, everybody. You guys were fantastic. I like the show because I actually get to talk to people that I see on stage like they're people. And because I'm bad at making friends, so this is the best that I get. This is the closest to making friends that I get. It's so it's very nice to hear you guys, hear what's going on in your heads. I hope that you're all doing well and that you're not having to go to work, but you have enough in your house. And you know, that we're all gonna make it into the future somehow, one way or another.
Definitely.
This show happens every week, and it is broadcast on the Comedy Studios website. The Comedy Studios is a really nice place. It's nice of them to let us have this. Thank you very much to Brett for hanging out in the booth, pressing the buttons for us. He did a good job.
Yeah,
And,
shout out to Brett.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope to see you all again in a room where people are laughing, and we'll do it all. So thank you, and have a great night.
Ooh, pizza's here.